Hey guys, today we're going to talk about money and politics. We're going to continue the conversation we've had started in class. And just in summary, remember some of the things that money can buy in politics includes advertising, uh, voter lists, that information about um, the political affiliation of voters in your precinct or in your county or in your state. Building up name recognition, stuff like yard signs and bumper stickers help politicians get their name out there. You're not going to vote for a guy you've never heard of, hence the idea of the name recognition. Office space, equipment, copy machines, computers, political consultants, all of these things cost money. And since America does not publicly fund its campaigns, you got to get the money from someplace. And since you don't only want super rich people running for office, you've got to raise money from people with cash. Now, who gives money to politicians? Individuals certainly give money. And often, for some candidates, they get most of their donations from $10, $25, $50, $100 contributors. Of course, there's also big players in the individual contribution world, but another big player in the contributor game are lobbyists, interest groups. Okay? Any group of people that seek to influence public policy making is considered an interest group. They have an interest, and they're a group. Businesses, industries, entire industries, the chemical industry, unions, teachers, Girl Scouts, all of these are groups that seek to influence public policy making. Now, to give money, the group can't simply give money from its general revenues, from money that comes in from, let's say, a business that's like a Subway that's selling sandwiches. They can't just take some of their Subway sandwich money and give it to a politician. Rather, they need to form political action committees, or PACs. They form either PACs, which can give money to candidates themselves, or to support what's referred to as issue advocacy, or they form what's referred to as a super PAC. A super PAC is a PAC that's organized under Section 527 of the Internal Revenue Code, which basically is only allowed to advocate interest matters. They're not allowed to give any money to political candidates for reasons that we'll talk about here in a sec. Now, why people give money to politicians, there's lots of reasons. I mean, like, government has such a great influence on our lives. And when I say great, I mean great in terms of the expanse, the length and breadth of government influence on our lives. From the moment you wake up in the morning, you're sleeping on a mattress that was inspected by somebody certified under some element of the federal regulatory scheme. You follow traffic laws that were part of the motor vehicle code. You go to a school that's highly regulated as to what they can teach people. You play a sport that's highly regulated in terms of safety gear, and that has rules that are approved of by various organizations and very quite likely government organizations. You watch TV that's regulated by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. The point is that there's so many parts of our lives that are affected by government that if you want to have a say in that, this is a good way to have a say, besides donating money and voting. Of course, voting is free, but money is speech. The U.S. Supreme Court has held that contributing money to politicians is a form of free speech. It's protected activity under the First Amendment. After all, this is one of the primary means by which people can establish and maintain a relationship with politicians who support similar causes, or who are opposed to causes that those individuals also oppose. And look, regulated groups want to influence policymaking. They want to have some say in what's going to happen to them in their industry. When the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, was being debated and being created, interest groups poured lots and lots of money into Washington, D.C. to try to influence that process. What interest groups? Insurance companies, doctors, hospitals, nursing associations. Virtually every association having something to do with the medical industry contributed and tried to get a seat at the table so they could have some say in what was coming down the pipeline. Now, we can't discount individual belief. If you're a true believer in the Democratic cause, if you're a true believer in the Republican cause, if you're a conservative, you're a liberal, and you just believe that their policies are the right policies, you're going to give money, not because you're interested in influencing the process. You want to give money because that's what you do. Okay, and that's just your belief. All right, and all of these reasons are legitimate and perfectly legal, frankly. Now, how do politicians get the money can be an interesting question to talk about, and that's why we're going to talk about it right now. Politicians support or oppose issues on a daily basis. If you're one of the 435 members of the House of Representatives, or one of the 100 senators in the U.S. Senate, or the president, you're an elected figure. You're representing the interests of your state, in the Senate's case, or your district in the House of Representatives case. Now, as you support and oppose issues, you're going to make friends and enemies. All right. For example, I always take the abortion issue because there's, it's an issue where most people have already kind of chosen a side, pro or anti-abortion. Look, if you're a pro-choice representative and you take stands on issues involving abortion, you're going to make friends who are similarly pro-abortion. They want to keep you in office because they don't want a pro-life person taking your seat, taking your House seat in the next election. Now, interest groups give money to the people that support similar issues. All right, that's how they identify who they're going to give money to. Interest groups also try to defeat their enemies. They want more people that look at the world the way they do in the House of Representatives, in the U.S. Senate, or sitting as president. Consequently, money flows in either because you support an issue, because you oppose an issue, and then money also flows to your opponent because they take an opposite stand from you. Money from different sources flows into them. Now, for all of these reasons, there's a lot of money that's involved here. We're going to take a look at that in the upcoming couple days in class. There's a lot of money that flows into politics. And so there's a concern that, boy, with this much money, there's a concern of corruption. And one of the primary reasons motivating the regulation of money in politics is the real or perceived sense of corruption. The concern, quite frankly, is that politicians are going to be bought. All right, that somebody's going to give them a bunch of money, and as a result, they're going to do what their big campaign contributor wants them to do. Does it happen? Probably. But let me ask you this, and I want you to write about this in the Google form after we finish this video. If you want to start that now, that's fine. You can simply pause the video and address this question right now. I think it's the first question that I posed to you guys in the Google Doc. Are you buying support? When you give money to a political candidate, are you buying their support? Or are you supporting a friend who looks at issues the same way as you do? So pause the video, think about that, and then write down your response now, okay? Now, I assume you've done that, and I'm going to keep going. Another reason you want to regulate money in politics is because it's important to know where the money comes from or who it's going to. I think it should be obvious to you why we have laws on the books that say that foreign corporations, foreign countries, foreign sources of money are illegal. They're not allowed to come into our political system. Okay, for obvious reasons. You don't want people with views inimical to America influencing our elections. Okay, but it's also important to know who supports who. If you are an environmentalist candidate, if you're a green candidate and you're taking lots and lots of money from oil exploration companies or gas companies, natural gas companies that want to mine or drill in certain areas, people should know that, because that seems to be opposite what you believe as a green candidate, as an environmentalist first candidate. Okay, and again, why regulate money in politics? Because it's speech. Money is speech. And as speech, it's subject to what are referred to as reasonable time, place, or manner restrictions. Okay, just like any other speech. Now, more about that as we move on. So how should money be regulated? Should we restrict the number of donations given to candidates? 500 donations max to a candidate? Should we restrict the amount of donations that a contributor can make? You can only make 50 donations in an election cycle, so choose wisely. Should we restrict when donations can be given before an election? No donations within 30 days, no donations within 60 days. Should we restrict how the money is spent by a candidate? You can only spend money on this couple things, or money can only be spent on these kind of subjects. Should we disclose who is giving money to which candidate? And should we disclose what candidate is getting donations from groups or individuals? All of these are means by which one can regulate campaign financing. And I'd like you to rank these. How would you order these in importance? In the Google Doc, pause this. In the Google Doc, just write, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How would you rank these in terms of there being the most effective way of protecting against corruption in the political donation process? Okay, pause the video, do that. Okay, I'm going to assume you've done that. I'm going to move on. Now, the federal regulation of money is all through the Federal Election Commission, the FEC. They're the election police. Okay, and through a series of regulations and laws, they've designated money in two ways. They've divided money in two ways. First, hard money. Okay, hard money is direct contributions to candidates for that candidate's use. They can use the money however they want, the candidate, but it's limited. Okay, we'll talk about those limitations here in a sec. The other form of money is soft money. This is money that doesn't go to a candidate. Rather, that money goes to an organization, one of these super PACs, for example, that I mentioned earlier, that can spend the money on get out the vote effort, getting people out to the polls, issue advocacy, pro-abortion, pro-life, whatever. But none of that money can go directly to a candidate. And this chart shows the distinction between the two. Money given to hard money, money given to a candidate or political party to be used for any purpose. That is highly regulated by the FEC, by the amount of the disclosure and who gets it and who gives it. All of that information is public. Now, soft money is given to the independent 527s for a specific purpose. I say independent because these groups are run by party faithfuls. Okay, a pro-lifer or pro-choice, for example, is going to be run by somebody who's staunchly pro-life or staunchly pro-choice. They're independent only in that they're not part of a campaign, of a candidate's campaign. That money is only to be allowed for party building, get out the vote, drives, and issue advocacy. Okay. Now, it can't be used for candidate advocacy. It can't be used to support a specific candidate, but it can be used to support issues that that candidate supports. Okay. And that money is regulated strictly by the use of those dollars. Okay. So that's the only regulation on it. Unlimited amounts can be donated to these PACs, super PACs, excuse me, but they can only be used for those reasons. Now we're going to talk more about this stuff in class tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of the night.